One of the biggest stories of the day, a viral video showing a police officer kneeling on the neck of a black man who's saying, "I can't breathe," and then dies. This story is taking off. The FBI is going to investigate. And you always got to be really, really careful with these stories because I don't know what happened. I'm very careful when any of these things pop up. Ahmaud Arbery, Covington kids. But now we got a major controversy. And I'll tell you straight up, this man should not have lost his life. I don't care what the reason is. I am 100% opposed to the death penalty. You're allowed to disagree with me. I actually enjoy the conversation and the debates about this, and people get really heated about it. And that's cool. I respect that. And we have to have a real conversation where we explore the morality of ending someone's life. But I think most of us can agree. This video is horrifying. You got a man subdued. This is why I'll tell you why I oppose the death penalty. You got a man subdued. You don't need to kill them to prevent them from causing harm if you've already stopped them from causing harm. What's shocking to me is how many people ignore this. I want you to just imagine snuffing out someone's soul, their spirit, their consciousness. No, I can't imagine that. I can't. And I recognize there are a lot of ethical conundrums in other areas pertaining to things like pro-choice and life. And yes, I've even talk about moral conundrums. I think that's why it's important that we talk about this stuff to figure out what the best course of action is. Instead of being angry and accusing people of being evil, if people really have, trouble, coming to a moral understanding, we got to sit down and talk. That's the best thing we can do. Let's read this story. And I'll tell you straight up, man, this on its surface, watching this video, shocking, disturbing, disgusting. All right. I don't know what happened before this, but to see a dude pinned on the ground saying, "Please, please, I can't breathe," not too dissimilar to the Eric Garner story in New York. It's disgusting. 100% beyond disgusting. NBC News says, a man appearing to yell, "I can't breathe," as a Minneapolis police officer pinned him to the ground and put his knee on the man's neck for about 8 minutes, died Monday night, prompting the FBI and Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension to step in and investigate. Video of the incident shows that a white police officer had a black man pinned to the ground next to the back tire of his patrol car with his knee on the man's neck. I'm going to stop you right there. I understand why they're bringing race into this. I get it. I just want to point out we're not at that point yet. Okay. I understand there are arguments to be made about racism in this country and things like that. But for now, let's talk about the issue of liberty, justice, civil rights, what all Americans deserve. Okay. You break the law. Yeah, you're going to get arrested. But these cops shouldn't be doing this. They should understand the risks. Video of the incident. We read that. Say, "Please, please, please. I can't breathe," the man begs. "My stomach hurts. My neck hurts. Please, please. I can't breathe." Onlookers outside the Minneapolis deli urged the officer to get off the man. "You're stopping his breathing right now. You think that's cool?" one man says. "His nose is bleeding. Look at his nose," says a woman. The officer doesn't budge. And then the man goes silent. More people begin to intervene and call for the officer or his partner to check for a pulse. The officer remains on the man's neck, even as he lay apparently unresponsive, for a total of about 8 minutes before paramedics arrive and the man is placed on a stretcher. Quote, "The man looked already dead before the ambulance even got there. He was clearly trying to tell them he couldn't breathe, and they ignored him," Darnella Frazier, one of the people who filmed the incident, told the NBC News. NBC News did not know what happened before the video recording began. Very, 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 very important point. I don't either. Apparently, the man was resisting, and so they subdued him. But it's tough. It really, really is. If this guy was resisting and fighting back and the cops were like, "We have to stop him from fighting," it makes sense why they would kneel on him the way they did. And there's probably a reasonable fear among these officers that if they get up, the dude might start fighting again or resisting. But I'll tell you what, man, we got to have better protocols for this. Because what was supposed to be, apparently this guy it was a report of forgery. The cops pull him out. He resists. That in no way should end someone's life. Look, when it comes to death penalty stuff, there are some stuff where I'm like, it's the closest. I come very, very close to agreeing with a lot of people in supporting the death penalty. But it's issues of liberty and freedom that stop me from crossing that line. But I'll tell you what, man, you tell me a story about some dude. There's a story going viral where a guy said he saw that a child offender was in his area, an area he was moving to. He took matters into his own hands. And I read that story and I'm like, bro, I hear you, man. I really, really do. Oh, man. Some of this stuff, you just want justice and you want it now and you want it fast and you want to feel it. You want to see it. but you can't do it. You got to be careful. First and foremost, it's always about the risk of hurting an innocent person. This dude right here who died, he wasn't, well, we presume his innocence. We have to. There was a report of forgery. I don't know anything. This wasn't proven in a court. The dude died before he even got to say what happened. That should horrify everybody. It is one of the most egregious Fifth Amendment violations. It's a violation of basically every single possible amendment. I get it. It's nothing to do with quartering soldiers in his house, the Third Amendment, right? But he had a right to due process. He had a right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Everyone does. One of the things that bugs me the most about when these arguments come to issues of race is that it's deeper than that. I understand the concerns you have and the calls for justice, but this is a fundamental violation of every American's rights, no matter what you look like, where you come from, your race, national origin, life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, so on and so forth. Notably, the right to due process. That we can't assume this guy did anything wrong. I don't know what he did. I didn't see a video. For all I know, they threw this guy to the ground, an innocent man, and killed him. I don't know. I'm not going to make that assumption either. I'm not going to condemn the officers because I don't know what happened. I do know that a man lost his life, though. Same thing with Ahmaud Arbery. I want to see the evidence. The Ahmaud Arbery case was not, they claimed it was a lynching and stuff. It's like, dude, chill. I already know people get mad when I bring that up, but the evidence doesn't support this idea of just racists being racist. This story doesn't necessarily either, but it does show the recklessness and I guess the callousness of some of these officers. And that might be a bold assumption for me to say. I don't know what was going through this officer's mind, but I'll tell you what, man, if someone can't breathe, listen. And they should have known this because we've already been through this with Eric Garner. Now by the time you're watching this, protests have just erupted in Minneapolis. We'll see what actually happens. They say, a statement from the Minneapolis Police Department released early Tuesday said the officers had responded to a report of a forgery in progress and found the suspect in his car. He stepped out of the car when he was ordered to, police said, but then physically resisted officers. Officers were able to get the suspect into handcuffs and noted he appeared to be suffering medical distress. Officers called for an ambulance. He was transported to Hennepin County Medical Center by ambulance where he died a short time later. Sorry, man. I don't buy it. I'm sorry. I just don't. They say that he started to resist. How many videos have we seen? And it's not, for me, look, I get it. There's a racial component. But I've seen too many videos, regardless of race, of cops just grabbing someone, slamming them to the ground, and then leaning on them right away. And I'll tell you what, I've personally experienced it. I've been wrongly arrested a couple times. Well, I'll put it this way. I was wrongly arrested once, for sure. And then I got arrested for skateboarding, which to me is a wrongful arrest. But they tried to have some justification because they said, you're not legally allowed to skateboard. It was stupid. And when I was arrested in the skateboarding instance, I get on my knees. I put my hands behind I'm on my knees when they're coming up, to sit me down or whatever. I put my hands behind my back. They cuff me. No issue. But when I was wrongly arrested, straight up wrongly arrested, I was thrown to the ground and the guy kneed on my head. I didn't resist. I wasn't fighting. It was a completely false arrest. I've personally experienced this, and it was in a Chicago suburb. Guy comes up to me, throws me down. I did nothing, said nothing, hands behind my back, and then he lays me on the ground and puts his knee on my neck. That's what he did. I wasn't resisting anybody. I did nothing. And, it's a long and complicated story that makes me really angry. But when I see this, I question why this is what they do. And who's going to be responsible when you don't know what happened and through the general enforcement of a perceived crime or a concern of a crime, you end someone's life. There's a big problem we have in this country. Okay. Many police officers, notably in like New York City, they use arrest as punishment. They know you won't be convicted. They know you won't be prosecuted. And they know they can lock you up for days, weeks, or even months. And there's nothing you can do about it. So we saw New York try to institute bail reform, and it became a disaster. I actually understand the idea behind it. I think they did it poorly. The idea is, if you are presumed innocent, how is it that we can force you to pay money before you get your freedom back? No, the state has to prove your guilt. So I do respect the idea. I like the idea, but it didn't work because they had actual criminals they knew were criminals that kept getting released and then going and committing more crimes. So it's like, I don't know where the line is or how we solve this problem. I recognize there's a serious challenge here between freedom and security, but I will never be that person to condemn someone to death or imprisonment, exile, pain, suffering, or anything, or deprivation of their life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, unless you can prove to me beyond a reasonable doubt they actually did something to warrant it. That's the challenge with me and the death penalty. Because I'll tell you this. You tell me a story about some dude, messing with kids, and I'm going to be like, get the guillotine off with his head, right? I'll be the first to call for it. The problem is proving it beyond a reasonable doubt. Even in a court, we sometimes have innocent people who end up in jail and on death row. And that to me is really, really horrifying. I want you to imagine being that person, being walked to your death, knowing you never did anything wrong. The founding fathers said it, and they inherited it from, it's Blackstone's formulation, I think is his name. It is better that 10 guilty persons escape than one innocent person suffer. And I believe it. The founding fathers believed in protecting liberty above security. Give me liberty or give me death. You know what that means? It means these bad people, these guilty people that escape to save that one person might actually infringe upon the rights of other people. And that's why I think we also have the Second Amendment, partly. I think it's also why we had an understanding that you have some responsibility for yourself. With freedom comes that responsibility to yourself and to others. I want to make sure that our system doesn't become the machine that kills innocent people. That terrifies me. And you see a story like this, and the first thing I see when this man is begging for his life, I'm sad, I'm angry that these people could do nothing but stand around and say, that's not cool. They were killing this guy, dude. And all that anyone could do was sit around and do nothing. Now, the problem with that anger and that sadness is that when it's unchecked, you end up with Antifa. This just pure nonsensical rage going around demanding justice for perceived slights they don't even understand. And that's why we must remain calm and collected. And unfortunately, you can argue maybe it was the right thing not to intervene. What are you going to do? Tackle a cop or something? You can't. But are you going to sit there and let someone die? Man, we got serious problems. We really, really do. So I don't know all the answers. I really don't. But I'll tell you this. If you ask for my vote to end someone's life, I will tell you no. Absolutely not. That's why I oppose the death penalty. It's why I'm absolutely opposed and shocked by things like this. You want to pull that lever for the electric chair. You want to pull that lever for the gallows. You want to press that button for the lethal injection. You're not going to see me doing it. You know why? Because you would need an overwhelming amount of evidence to prove it. Show me a video of the guy doing it, and I might consider it. The problem is, when we're talking about the support for the death penalty, it's not like on a case-by-case basis we get to vote as a society. It's that we approve of it, and then the machine starts churning, and eventually an innocent person will lose their life. I will not be party to that. I'm sorry, I won't be. I hope this man gets justice. I hope his family does. And if it turns out that new video services showing something else happened, then I'll be glad to see it. But if a dude's on the ground saying, please, 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 I can't breathe, you got your knee on his neck, get your knee off his neck, bro. Ask someone for help. Restrain the guy if he's being physical with you. But if someone can't breathe, you are responsible for that safety. Even if it was an accident, you are responsible. That's called manslaughter. We'll see how this thing plays out. Next segment's coming up tomorrow at 10 a.m. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you all then.